I'm on a quest for more power. I currently bought it brand new from the dealership, Harley Davidson 2020 Roadglide. It came with the Stage 1 tune on it, Screaming Eagle exhaust and everything, dual exhaust. From what I researched, that would have been a waste of money if I had it done later on if I bought the bike completely stock. Went ahead and went Stage 2 with it. I put in some S&S components in it. Mind you, I want a bike with some power, but reliability as well. So I put the S&S cam chest kit in there, which of course has the cam bearing, inner cam bearing, better bearing, the S&S oil pump, S&S cam plate, billet cam plate, quickie push rods, the S&S lifter guides. Got rid of those damn plastic ones. Got the billet aluminum guides in there. What else? 475 cam. Fairly mild cam, but definitely mid to upper RPM. You could feel a good difference about it. It does pull better. But the Screaming Eagle tuner for it. I had originally had the tuner. I couldn't find it, so they talked me into one. So I went for their new improved one and everything. The other thing, I took off the stock intake manifold, the 55 millimeter polycarbonate plastic one, and put a 57 millimeter one in there. I kind of smoothed it out a little bit with some emery cloth on a Dremel. Helped the flow somewhat. 2% here, 3% there. It adds up. They went ahead and buttoned it all up for me. Dynoed the bike. Of course, you mind you, that day it was about 100 degrees out, and in the shop, even with the AC running, it was probably about 97 degrees. I came out to. They wouldn't get. They said it's extra if you want to have the before and after. I said just give me the after then. I'm not rich. I came out with 103 horsepower and 104 horsepower and 113 foot-pounds of torque. I've seen better results. I mentioned that to them. They said, "Well, come back in the wintertime. We'll be able to tune it better." No thanks. Since then, I learned about Harley Davidson, EPA. Some of the parts I have here are illegal in the state of California. So when it took a while, a couple months, started doing a lot of more research, checking out videos, checking out dyno sheets and everything. So I'm definitely going to go all out, except for the stroke. I'm going to keep the stock crank in there with their. If I wanted to, and it's considerably a lot more, I would either get a Dark Horse or S&S stroker crank in there, balanced, and take out the counterbalancing shaft in there. One, you're free up about 3.5 pounds of weight, reciprocating mass in your crankcase and your bottom end. Does it lose some torque? Yes, but it revs faster and decelerates faster too. That's my style of riding, sport touring. I'm not a light drag racer. Plus I don't want to go 150 miles an hour all day long. If I wanted that, I'd give me a crotch rocket. No, thank you. So the next phase of my build, first thing I got, and I've had remarks about it, Thundermax tuner with the wideband. It's their newest one. Some say you should have got this, you should have got that, whatever. Each their own. Bigger injectors. I got the Screaming Eagle 5.5 injectors. I also have the Fueling 6.2, but majority of the people I spoke to, they said the 6.2 is probably be too much fuel for it. So we're going to go with the 5.5s for now. I bought a set of heads, used, low mileage, M8 heads. I sent them to the Fuel Moto, and I went for the Stage 1. I'm going for velocity airflow versus mass airflow. First thing they did, like I said, 2% here, 1% there. They put little release to shroud these a little bit. Decked it. In each throat, they went down approximately 1 inch and hogged them out. Rebuilt the heads, new valves, valve guides, better valve springs. I got the 588 springs in there. Plenty for what I plan to do next. Maybe, just maybe, I might smooth out the exhaust ports on here. We'll see. Went ahead and got the pistons from Carrillo, even though it says Fuel Moto. See? There's the plug. These are the 10.8 to 1 compression. It says these are pre-gapped by so-and-so. He initialed it right here. JM said that. I'm going to verify that, though. I'm not going to go by what somebody says. Next thing I'm doing on the heads, these are the stock rockers from Harley. The problem with these bikes, or these heads, when you put a stiffer springs and a bigger cam in it, is these have been known to strip out. The shafts have been known to flex, which causes a bit of a binding. So, we're going beef. Oh, the other thing with the Harleys, there's your oil. Goes through a little channel and flows down on top of the valve. We're going S&S. Beefier. These are 1/6 to 1. Better oiling. They have jets spraying directly out onto that area there. Bigger bushings. Stiffer. As well as the rocker shafts. These don't flex. Especially with a higher lift cam. Stiffer valve springs. Like I said, I'm going beefier. I'm going with the S&S head bolts. Better material. Torque better. Along with the ARP stud kit for the cylinders and heads. I got the largest for a 107, without boring out the cases, are the Fuel Moto 129 cylinders in here. So we're definitely going to have more room to breathe. These are by the way, these are the 10.8 to 1 compression. They offer 11 to 1 compression or even higher pistons. No, thank you. What I also did on the, I took off the stock exhaust. I installed a S&S Sidewinder 2-in-1. On the stock Harleys, the dual exhaust, it looks good. But put your hand on the right exhaust, facing the ass end of the bike, and feel how much exhaust is coming out. And then put your hand on the left side. That left one really doesn't do much, but it looks good. It's a little more weight. So I went with the S&S Sidewinder exhaust. It's a 4.5 inch to 2-in-1. After they got the bike running and everything, I love the sound of the idle with that S&S 475 cam. Nice lope to it. Had the old school lope. The guy in the dyno room, he goes, "You want me to bump up the idle on it?" And I said, "No. Let's leave it the way it is. I like that. It's old school. It's got an attitude." What I did later on, though, my ears are getting old. I got a badass sound system inside. I want to still be able to hear my music. That exhaust actually sounded like shit below 2,800 RPM. It was just more of a blah, 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 blah. Didn't like it. And it seemed like there was a flat spot in the power band. And what S&S forgot to do was send me the dB reducer, which is basically a baffle. It's about 6.5 inches long. 3 screws goes in there. So they sent me that out free of charge, of course. Thank you, S&S, for holding your side of the deal. Put that in there. Definitely quieter, but it's still got some sound to it. And I noticed a little more throttle response out of that with the power band. So it needed a little bit of back pressure. So for those of you who think the freer the exhaust, the better it's going to run, not necessarily. Maybe if you're doing 4,000 to 6,000 RPM all day long, but how long is that motor going to last you? The other thing I'm hooked. I want the power. I was going to get the Screaming Eagle 64 millimeter throttle body along with the intake manifold to replace the. Currently, I have the 55 millimeter and with the 57 millimeter manifold. Now the manifold on there now, it made a little bit of difference with flow, which is okay. But since I got the heads, I can have bigger cylinders. It's going to need more airflow getting in there. So I bought a HPI billet throttle body, and it's a 62 millimeter, along with a matching ported polished 62 millimeter intake manifold. I looked it up. Even the guys at Moonshine Harley Davidson said the 62 HPI 62 outflows the 64 millimeter Screaming Eagle one. Wasn't cheap, but hey, parts aren't cheap. And finally, I said, what the hell? I'm going to go with a 550 cam. So I ordered a S&S 550 cam. It's going to be a pretty mean bike. As far as the clutch, right now, if I have to, I'll get a Recluse clutch in there. Screaming Eagle, I'm not really happy with that product as far as their clutches. So meantime, I had the mechanic put stiffer springs in there, as well as I bought from Fuel Moto. It's a kind of an 8. It's more of a centrifugal clutch. It's got small weights in there. Easy to install. It took maybe 15 minutes. And as it's revving, the weights go out and they push onto the plate, so it clamps onto all those discs a little bit better. The downsides of it, if you're speed shifting, which I rarely do, and the bike's still in the upper RPMs when you pull in the clutch, mine's not a cable clutch, it's a hydraulic clutch, you really got to pull in. But if you let the R's drop down, it's easy to shift. You can't even feel the difference. So I'll see how that clutch holds up with the added power. What's my guesstimated horsepower and torque? I don't know. What do I want? About 130, 35 horse, about 145 pounds of torque, 148. I'd be happy around that. Once again, I'm 62 years old. My reflexes aren't as fast as they used to be, so, you know. Building the bike mainly for torque, not for horsepower. What's your opinion? What would you do differently?